where are the gaps in care for us? And for us, the primary gap was in communication. We decided to use voice technology, which led us down the path of Alexa, where we're currently tracking a 37% reduction in hospitalization within 3 months of joining our program. We manage care for about 2,200 families nationwide, a little over 1 million hours of care delivered per year. Struggle alongside technology, I think, is going to be a big gap.
So I'll start off with you introducing yourself and, talk about Veterans Home Care as well. I'll just say this quote from what you call one of the first ladies. Freedom comes with responsibility, right? Right. So, and that's where I think I saw a very, because we work with home care agencies a lot, but I see that you are focused exclusively on veterans, which is unbelievable. I did not even think about that. So tell us more about Veterans Home Care and yourself. Yeah,
and I think you'll find our what we're learning now is that what we've built for the veteran community is very applicable to the general population, high-risk population. So we're kind of on the mission, and that's where we're leveraging technology to really advance what we've built for the veteran community into general population. But so my back, and I think some of our software we built on the AI side was, well, I know it was published. I can forward you guys the publication. It's pretty long. It's kind of cool write-up that we got to be a part of. But the my background is actually primarily in e-commerce. I was really early in the online food ordering world here in the U.S. Steve Case invested in my company out of college. We changed the brand to Order Up, got acquired by Groupon in 2014. So kind of had an interesting early career in sort of this tech growth process. I actually took a buyout when Steve came into our company, and I bought a bunch of underperforming markets and sold that company. It was called College Advertising Solutions to a company called EatStreet.com. They had raised $40 million for a Series B, and we got rolled up in that. So that was kind of a cool opportunity to learn. But I think what really made the fit for this particular role natural is that I got to see firsthand how technology changed hospitality. Right, we were really early doing implementations of online food ordering with mom and pops all over the country, and being able to see the real impact that had both to restaurant efficiency, sales, customer acquisition, etc., was a really cool experience. So I started at Veterans Home Care about 4 years ago, consulting for my aunt and uncle. We had raised some venture financing around a fintech property, and I started consulting on the side, not to take money out of the fintech startup. And my aunt and uncle were clients. We looked at their digital reputation, their website, how they were converting leads, was there any direct to consumer play? And so learning the business from that lens, and then identifying that there was a real opportunity to bring technology into the landscape of home care. And so the legacy business, if you will, was a network of home care agencies around the country that Veterans Home Care helped those agencies, represent those agencies and their prospect clients to pull down funding from the VA specific to personal care services. And so the VA is divided into two divisions. You got VHA, which is all their health care. And then you have VBA, which is disability benefits, comp benefits, pension benefits. And so this particular program is called Aid and Attendance, and it's a bucket within the disability comp division. So different fiscal policies than VHA, different budgets. So Aid and Attendance is money set aside for aging veterans and surviving spouses of wartime veterans to provide reimbursement and payment towards what they consider monthly predictable qualifying medical expenses. So the two most common expense reimbursements or qualifying expenses is home care, in-home care services, and in-home care at a senior living facility. So an assisted living facility, you can get a portion of your bill paid for by this program. The three eligibility requirements are, we call it money, military, medical. So you have to meet a certain low income, low asset requirement to be eligible. You had to have been active during a registered wartime period. You do not have to be disabled. You did not have to serve in country, but you did have to be active duty during a registered wartime. And then medical, your physician, your primary care physician has to fill out a form that says you need assistance with daily living. So our average client's 86 with comorbidities, high risk population, low income, a lot of them are in food deserts. The challenge that they run into is that in order to file a claim with this benefit, it works a lot like a long-term care claim. So you have to be spending the money on the qualifying expense to submit the paid receipt to qualify for the benefit. And so the population that we work with are the families that can't afford to be spending the money, right? Going into assisted living is expensive. Buying private pay home care is expensive. And so we fill that gap, we meet that gap. So what happens is we get a lead from one of our agency network partners or direct to consumer. We pre-qualify that lead. We know if they're going to get approved by the VA, and then we loan them the money. So we have a loan agreement. It's 0% interest. There's no cost. There's no fees associated to the loan. It's a mechanism for us to prove to the VA that they're paying for the care in advance. Additionally, it gives us the ability to start offering the care right away. And so we're able to start care for them while they wait for their claim to be adjudicated. The loan repayment is the qualifying medical expense. Veterans Home Care is the qualifying expense on the VA application. So they're applying to the VA to pay us to handle their home care services for them. So yeah, the program for years worked brilliantly. And then the organization sort of met a lot of the same healthcare driven market challenges that everyone's dealing with: labor shortages, costs, et cetera. So how we turn around, and that's kind of when I entered the company, and looking at it saying, okay, how do we, one, enhance the value of our product, right? How do we manage ourselves through these market conditions and inevitably turn them into opportunities for the organization? So we were very lucky in a couple components. One, the VA, a lot like Medicaid, has an appetite for self-directed care. So we were able to roll out a self-directed model after COVID. So about 25% of our census is on a self-directed model now, where we manage the payments to family members to provide the care. We use our technology to do care verification. And during that sort of exploration process of how are we going to introduce technology to automate our program and really create a solution, and what we were really trying to model within is that the VA has specific maximum amounts that these veterans or spouses can get approved for. So surviving spouse can get approved up to, I think it's like $1,480 a month. Single veteran can get approved up to $2,300 and change per month to be applied towards these services. So there's a limit to what they're given and what they're allowed to use. And so we looked at it and said, okay, where are the gaps in care for us? And for us, the primary gap was in communication. How do we stay close in communication with our client through the lifetime within our company? Kind of cool data. The traditional private pay home care industry's LTV is about 6 to 8 months. Ours is 25, 26 months. So our clients stay with us for a much longer time than your traditional private pay home care program. And we're looking at that saying, well, how do we continue to maintain care all the way through end of life, our higher level of care, and continue to, manage the experience and produce good health outcomes? And so communication was kind of the focal point. And we decided to use voice technology, which led us down the path of Alexa. But our concern was, well, how do we make an Alexa system HIPAA compliant? And so we were able to coordinate a solution. We had a partner for a while. We've inherited that business to maintain a patent to create an anonymous account within a voice platform. And then we chose Alexa because of cost and capability. We were happy with that and recently signed a big partnership with Amazon to have full access to those devices. And so our system now deploys a program called Smart Companion with all of our clients. We own Smart Companion. It's a care coordination technology. It's a HIPAA compliant version of Alexa. You get multiple speakers installed inside your home. It's a big plug and play component, and it allows us to administer real-time communication and provide additional benefits like reminders, medication reminders, around the house reminders, immediate communication to family members, all through voice, right? So as you get older and you kind of clear that 85 age mark, interacting with a smartphone or a tablet starts to become a lot more difficult, right? And depending on your overall health and well-being, even getting off the sofa is a complicated process. So giving them the value of voice and being able to have access to things like music therapy and real-time communication has turned into a really interesting offering that we've seen some extreme success from. We also we had the opportunity to get it in the hands of United Healthcare, and in December signed a national contract with United Healthcare. So they're actually using our care coordination technology within Medicaid waiver programs, frail and elderly, IDD, and brain injury waiver programs, where they're seeing communication with members that they were not able to produce in times past. And so having that technology effort combined with the in-home care services, we employ medical assistants that offer monitoring. We wrote a software called Voice Health, which does a daily health survey, and that's kind of where some of our AI is starting to be incorporated into that overall process. Allows us to give a pretty meaningful care plan to the family for an affordable price, lower cost. And we've been able to track the outcomes through Bamboo Health, where we're currently tracking a 37% reduction in hospitalization within 3 months of joining our program. So pretty exciting. So that's kind of how we've evolved the organization.
That's fantastic. That's really fascinating, David, how you have merged technology to your offerings and service, and at the same time provide value to this veteran population. I'm sure they're loving it, and that's why the reach has gone beyond just home care, right? If you're talking to United Healthcare, it's going to go to larger audience. So have you also patented this software where it's a product and you have resellers and distributors who are going to take it beyond just Veterans Home Care, right? So you're selling it with a price tag that's another separate entity, or it's part of Veterans Home Care brand?
No, it's a separate entity.
Okay.
We kind of market everything under one umbrella, but it is a separate entity for that reason. It has its own team. It does have it. We've dabbled in the reseller. We came out heavy with reseller relationships.
Yeah.
Most of our reseller relationships were home care agencies. And that's a tough transition going from selling service to selling tech. So we didn't see a huge success there, but we anticipate maybe some progress in the future. But I think from a direct distribution perspective with Smart Companion at the moment, I think Medicaid is kind of where we're focused from a distribution perspective with that product out of the Veterans Home Care's need. So we have two primary products. We have our Vet Assist product, and then we're building out a general population product that our home care agency partners can lean on to provide value to the 4 out of 10 prospect clients that they get that can't afford, a 20-hour minimum weekly amount or something to that effect. So if I'm a private pay home care agency right now, because of caregiver shortages and just pricing, I'm missing the ability to provide care to 40 to 60% of my inbound. And so our ability to leverage our approach, and in our conversations with those groups, we're looking forward to providing a network opportunity for them to still send those clients somewhere to get care, and for them to be beneficiaries of that through higher reimbursement rates, which is what we provide in that program.
Great. Yeah, I think I'll come back to Veterans Home Care. So as you know, right, for any home care agencies, and you also partner with other home care agencies all over the country. I think if I have to see the numbers, I think you said you have, I think 22,000 caregivers in your network and or more. Um, and then also you have you operate in 40, 50 locations all over the country. So is that it's they're all on your roll, or actually these are part including your partner network, right? So these are your caregivers operating and clients, different states, or they're your partner network for other home care agencies?
So just to kind of get the numbers right, our partner network is about 6,000 home care agencies nationwide are contracted with us.
Great.
We manage care for about 2,200 families nationwide, a little over 1 million hours of care delivered per year. We've put about 25,000 families through our program over the years.
Got it.
Those are kind of numbers. But yeah, through that partner network, it gives us a really unique opportunity to offer these care plans nationwide quickly. We don't really experience the same caregiver shortage issues that our partners deal with directly, which gives us a unique opportunity to offer kind of a more niche type solution for the families that can't afford a traditional private pay home care program.
Sure. So as a CEO now, right, you've been there a couple of years at Veterans. Where do you think could be the major challenge now with also introduction of technology that you're using from an experience standpoint, but then there are just from running the agency, right? You have obviously intake. The intake could be for clients through referrals or through and then caregivers intake, right? In terms of onboarding them, and there's a churn in terms of retention. And then you have the engagement. You talked about engagement, that you have communication challenges in stay connected with your patients, clients, and your caregivers and your staff, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you have back office that you have challenges with in terms of billing cycles and claims and then follow throughs. Where do you think is the biggest challenge that you're facing today? And how do you see that, how technology and AI playing a role in that beyond just directly the end client experience through your tools?
Sure. I mean, I think generally for what we're anticipating for specific to our business is really going to be in volume. The way the market's trending. We have two kind of large market market conditions that we're planning for. One is the Vietnam veteran population.
Yep.
Okay, so as I had mentioned, our average client's 86. Your average Vietnam veteran who was drafted in 1964 is between the age of 82 and 84 years old right now, 81, 84. And so that's the biggest wartime population that this company will experience in its 2 decades of being around. So we're kind of planning internally, like how do we manage that volume as it starts to come in, right? Because all these Vietnam veterans and their wives are going to be sort of aging into our services. And there's not really a whole lot of options for them if they can't afford the expense up front. And it's a tough dynamic because if you meet the low income requirement, you're unlikely to have the expense. So it's kind of like, but our ability to manage that or mismanage it is going to impact a lot of people, right? So on one hand, if we're really good and we leverage technology to really focus on onboarding efficiency, automation, we can help a lot more families, right? If we don't do that effectively and we mismanage it or we miss the boat and we don't get ourselves set over the next couple of years for that, then we end up compromising care for those families. It's not that they'll necessarily go to another company. They just won't get the program that they deserve to get. And so we look at it as kind of like a responsibility, which is sort of why I appreciate the quote you gave me before we kicked off here.
Yeah.
And that is what we're, that's what we're working day in and day out right now, is to really identify what technologies can help us ensure that we can get this care plan into as many homes as possible. Finding the homes, the volume is not going to be the issue. The issue is how do we make sure it's effective and efficient for as many families as possible. So, without us, they're just not going to get the care that they need and deserve. So that's the kind of the thing I'm most watching out for and concerned about and preparing for currently. So it's not so much on the care delivery model, it's more on the customer acquisition model, and onboarding. And that's where we're hopeful that technology will help us really move the needle there. And that's a reflection on our billing as well. I mean, certainly the billing for this type of program is a lot like any healthcare arrangement. It's complicated. And so making sure all the parties are aware of the transactions, the details of those transactions, and automating as much of that process that we can will be critical to the company's success.
Great, great, great. Yeah, I think you said it right, David. Already there is underutilized or underserved population of veterans who are not even aware of their benefits, right?
Sure.
So you're
Yep.
struggling with that. Just the traditional veteran legacy population, they're not aware. And one thing I like about Veterans Home Care is your part of your service portfolio is also making them aware of their benefits, that there's
Yep.
money on the table for you to utilize and the services.
Yep.
And so there's one problem that you're trying to solve, and top of it, like I said, there's a big storm coming with Vietnam veterans, which I was not even aware that age group that you would like to serve, and I said that's feel responsible actually to serve that population. Now continuing on that front, you know that automation is just one part of the puzzle that you mentioned. What are your thoughts about AI and machine learning? Right now, we know AI and machine learning is real in our lifetime. We were always thinking it was all some mythical word that's been lingering around for decades. But do you see AI transitioning to a technology that would really start giving returns to humans in various ways, including care to the aging population? Some examples like predicting, readmission, predicting, your intake population volumes, predict a lot of analytics that go behind AI. What are your thoughts about that, and how do you see AI playing out in your journey in the next 2 to 3 years at Veterans Home Care?
Yeah, I mean, I think our initial implementations as it relates to AI have been focused around our care coordination technology, right? Starting to build the data models for us to be able to leverage a machine learning engine. We have integrated recently OpenAI into our voice health platform. It makes the conversation more generative, which is really cool. But outside of client experience, we haven't dabbled too far yet. Where we think it's going to be meaningful is in that predictive analysis, right? Helping us automate even further, make the dollar from either the VA or Medicaid go further in the actual care plan. We expect and anticipate that to be a big piece. The part where I struggle with, can AI solve some real problems, is in that care navigation education process, right? Because there's two elements to that ride parallel. One is knowing and understanding, and then the other is the interest in actually obtaining the care that you qualify for, right? So just human nature and how individuals get. On one hand, I know I need to go to the doctor, but on the other hand, do I really want to go to the doctor and have the doctor tell me what I don't want to hear, right? And so that emotional struggle alongside technology, I think, is going to be a big gap, because technology is going to move so much faster, right? We're already seeing it with all your big tech companies in terms of they're all getting into direct to consumer health, right? And so the problem is, it's like, well, I don't know if I want my watch telling me all day that I didn't get up and walk, you know, like,
Well said,
I don't know
well
if I
said.
want it to remind me that I didn't eat properly. So
Especially the veterans, you know, the veterans, they're not tech savvy. They don't wear, all of them don't wear smart watches.
no,
They don't
yeah,
do,
no, they
they're not
don't.
marathon runners like us.
No. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, and they're trained, you know, that was their upbringing and their training in the military was to not ask for favors, to be grateful, to have the opportunity to serve their country. Like you know, culturally, it's a very difficult, emotional population to
agreed.
navigate because of that. It's counterintuitive to some degree. So, or there's a counter action between how they were, like their training and their upbringing and what we're trying to provide to them. So there's definitely challenges there. And I think in just general population, there's that will be the piece that I think AI and specific technologies will continue to struggle, uh, to deliver properly, because again, it's one thing, it's the knowledge is one part, but action and putting it into play is a whole nother. And so, yeah, the system can give me great predictive analytics about my population, but that still requires Mrs. Johnson to go to the doctor when I call her and tell her she needs to go to the doctor, right? And if she doesn't make that move, or when the pill dispenser reminds me that she didn't take her medication, and our medical assistant calls her, says, hey, you need to take your water pill, and she still has to make the action to go take it, right? And if she's deciding not to, or she doesn't want to, or she's forgetting to take it, like, I don't know how AI solves that, you know?
Very well said. Very well
Yeah.
said.
Of course, so Elon Musk is putting stuff in our brains. So who knows? You know, at some point they'll be
Yeah.
controlled for them, but not yet.
And you know, old habits don't change that easy, right? We
Yeah.
know from our lifetime, forget about our kids, right? So just to add to that, David, I want to take an emotional turn to our conversation. You know, I would like you to tell us a story, an emotional story of Veterans Home Care in the recent past, which was very personal to you. You know, that you witnessed firsthand. That we would like to tell the audience also in the process. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I'm a tough guy to ask because I'm not emotional, but you know,
Yeah,
in
sure,
my
sure.
our I think I'm trying to think of any recent customer stories that have been brought to me.
Sure.
You know, I think the most meaningful impact that we've had recently, is in our self-directed model. I think our ability to, you know, if you're a low income family, okay, forget not even being low income. If you're any family that has to take care of a loved one, right, an aging mother or father, it's a real stress on you, your siblings, your kids, the whole family, right? Because you don't want to, you feel obligated to take care of your loved one. It's a major time commitment, and it compromises other parts of your life. It compromises, you know, for a daughter, it compromises her time as a mother to her kids. It compromises potentially her job, right? Because she can't stay focused at work. We see a lot of daughters leave work to take care of their moms, and it takes the whole family. And so the fact that we've been able to manipulate our product and turn around and then create a self-directed model where now that same daughter can comfortably leave work, still get compensated, right, for taking care of her mother, and being able to accommodate both uh, solutions it's been a really cool experience to watch that play out, and the feedback we get from some of those families is really inspiring, and it kind of helps us re-inspire ourselves every day to continue the work we're doing, because it's not easy, right? It's not easy to work with some of these families in this population. It comes with different levels of complexity. Um, but again, going back to our mission, we do feel it's our responsibility to help take care of these families. So being able to get feedback from the daughters of like how much we help them at a time of like great need, is definitely super rewarding. Outside of that, emotional to the organization. My aunt, who was the original founder of the company in 2003, passed away last March, about a year ago. So that was a tough experience to navigate inside the business. A lot of our staff were hired by her, worked underneath her, and we're really emotionally attached to her original vision for the organization. And so continuing that is, I find it very grateful to be able to do that. And I think the organization is indebted to her, her mission. And so that was a tough loss just in general for the organization to get through. Personally, that was super emotional, but we got through it, and she'd definitely be proud of what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. I think you're carrying her legacy. She started, and I was looking at her video also where she told the story about her mom, going through cancer and going through, and that's where it started 23 years back. So you, as part of the family member, continuing that legacy and taking it further ahead with this big vision, grand vision for Veterans Home Care. So congratulations to you, David.
Thank you.
One last question before we wrap up, and you can ask any questions to me after that. What advice would you give who would like to start as an entrepreneur, as part of home care ecosystem, providing care, especially to veterans, to somebody who's starting a new home care business, and trying to make a difference? We'll all make money at the end of the day, but it's like those initial struggles that a home care agency goes through to ramp up and grow their business, at the same time provide care in the local communities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wherever they could be. What would be your piece of advice?
You got to really care about what you're doing.
Yes.
That's probably, that's my biggest advice. It's this is a great business, and a lot of home care agency owners are going to have some really nice years ahead with the boomer population, and in the labor shortages. If you're good inside of your market for marketing, they're gonna have a really nice run for sure from a business perspective. But at the end of the day, early and certainly as you get larger, it's difficult to deal with the emotional state that these families are in when we're caring for them, right? They're going through very challenging emotional experiences, and we kind of interject ourselves to help, and that takes a greater attention to the detail and to the outcome, and making sure that you can give the appropriate attention to those families when they need it. I think is critical to any home care agency's success. So I'd say, more than anything, you got to really be passionate about what we're doing, and always be looking for ways to enhance that with your families, because they're looking for answers, and they're turning to us. So, we need to be experts in the field.
Excellent. That wraps up our interview or our conversation, David.
Awesome.
Anything that for me that you want to ask? This is
Are you guys? Am I going to see you at the conference? Are you guys going to be at that?
Yeah, we will be there.
Okay,
we'll
cool.
Be there. I'll be there.
Great.
So looking forward to meeting you also.
Awesome.
We are at the helm of innovation ourselves, so we thought we'll participate in this conference. So see you in a couple of weeks, David.
Okay, sounds good, guys. All right, appreciate
Thank you.
it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Talk later. Good day.